On the left, yes.
I'm wondering if you brought more specificity to these laws, though. If you were actually able to single out what these people are talking about in terms of, I'm trying to find the substantial support of Al-Qaeda, for example. I look at that, I don't know what that means. That you need to be more specific.
Interview, or does that mean sending them
money?
I'm
wondering, though, if you were to bring that kind of specificity to these kind of things, would you have much more broad support for
There already are laws.
We see really distinct differences between different parties and different candidates.
And distinct differences in the reaction to the media to what Barack Obama is doing. If a Republican was doing this, there would be massive outrage.
Well, we will see what happens in November. First Lady Michelle Obama weighs in on national security in tonight's Island of Misfit Stories. Jedediah, start us off.
Yes, well, Michelle Obama had a little chit-chat with Dr. Oz on TV. She was talking about obesity and national security. Let's play a clip of that before we talk about it.
From my perspective, the number one, the greatest national security threat that we have is obesity. You ever think about it that way?
Well, absolutely. Shocking information. I do a lot of work with the military families and spend a lot of time on military bases, and the number one thing that prevents young people from the ages of 17 to 24 qualifying for the military is obesity.
Okay.
Not a national security threat.
Wow. Yeah, well, and not only that, but he says the greatest national security threat, and she says absolutely. Now, I don't want to downplay the significance of obesity, and I did a little research in the Food Research and Action Center, talks about how obesity rates have more than doubled in adults and children since the 1970s. They were actually really high. 35.7% of adults are obese. That's a pretty high number in the United States. But I find it funny that she doesn't talk about Iran, she's not talking about Al-Qaeda, she's not talking about debt and deficits. This is the woman whose husband, by the way, has driven up the debt and deficit in ways that I can't even find a word to describe anymore, but obesity is the greatest threat to national security.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact,
she couldn't tell him you're totally wrong.
But yes, you can. Yes, you can.
And we know that fat kids is like
not
the
greatest threat.
All right.
Sorry.
I would have Jedediah.